Welcome back to Next Shift with Rick Wagen. Suzuki does not suck. We have my guest today, Cole's beside me, Cole Wagen, and Stephen Cohen. The Montreal Canadiens win 6-3 in the third game of the playoffs over the Washington Capitals. They make the series 2-1, a huge win for the Montreal Canadiens. The Bell Center was rocking. It was an incredible win for the Canadiens. Some unfortunate things. Montembeault got hurt. Dvorak came in, held the fort. Goals by Suzuki, goals by Caufield, goals by Dvorak. Who else scored? Newhook. I said this is Suzuki goal. Slafkovsky. So we got 6 goals for the Montreal Canadiens. It was a rough game. 46 hits for the Montreal Canadiens to 26. They out-face off them 54% to 46%. It was a solid game by the Montreal Canadiens. They got 2 power play goals, 2 out of 5. 1 by Suzuki, 1 by Newhook. A great game overall. There was no passengers. There was a change in the lineup. We'll talk about Patrick Laine was removed. Kapanen was replaced. Struble was removed, and Jack-I came in to play for him. The Canadiens had a great game. The fans were outstanding, and all in all, the Montreal Canadiens win the game. Cole, do you have anything to add? Any thoughts? Any experiences other than ole, ole, ole?
It was very exciting, and I'm just happy that they won. It's just exciting to watch more games. You know, no matter how the series goes, I'm happy that we saw them win, especially in the Bell Center. I think it was exciting, and it's a good momentum because I think they played well like the first 2 games. So winning this one could transition into like the next games, and I think gives us a good shot at perhaps winning the series. So I think it was a really important game, and the way they won it was really convincing.
Great, Stephen, what's your thoughts?
Oh my God, I'm ecstatic. So a couple of stats. So Canadiens outshot the Capitals 40-19. I think that was the shot total. So they dominated the game. They played well. Aside from giving up that tying third goal where I was a little nervous, they turned it on and took over the game. 50 more games, we can hoist the cup. That's another good point. And listen, I'm going to agree that the lineup change and bringing in Jack-I was definitely something that stirred up the Canadiens and kind of made them play bigger. I felt that this was definitely, I wouldn't call it just a hockey game. It was like a war. What happened at the end of the second period where you see Josh Anderson and Wilson are like flip over the boards there. I mean, it was incredible. So the Canadiens were, they stood up, they were tough, and this is now a series. One last stat. Game 3. The team that wins Game 3, I think it's like 80% of the time goes on to win the series. So Game 3 is a key game to win. You could lose the first 2 games. Game 3 is just a key game. Canadiens come out victorious. I think the momentum of this series has shifted. Let's see how it goes in Game 4.
Yeah. So we're still getting a little bit of a delay in your video. I don't know if you want to go out and come back in one more time while Cole and I talk. Try that while we're talking, and we'll catch you up on what we're talking about. But really, all in all, the Montreal Canadiens had a great outing. Like Stephen was just mentioning, the second period. At the end of the second period, there was that altercation between Anderson and Wilson. I think it stirred the pot, got the team going. Obviously, they scored with just a few seconds left in the second period to make it 3-2, a great goal by Caufield on an awesome pass by Hudson. And so that definitely stirred the momentum, and they came into the third period. They did give up a goal to Ovechkin, an unstoppable shot for Dvorak, and but then turned it around with goals by Dvorak and Slafkovsky. And that Slafkovsky goal led to an injury for Logan Thompson as well. So Logan Thompson basically could be out. He definitely left the game injured after the Slafkovsky goal, and it turned into, it could be a game changer in the series as well. Obviously, Charlie Lindgren shared the net for a lot of the year with Logan Thompson, but I don't think anyone believes he's as good as him. That being said, he's an ex-Montreal Canadian. He might have a bit of an edge to try to prove things, but all in all, that will be a factor in the series for sure. And obviously, if Montembeault doesn't come back, Dvorak gets the net. I think he did a good job for the period and a half or so he played. And then obviously, if he doesn't come back, then a guy like Kaden Primo will have to sit on the bench, which would be interesting to see if he ever has to come into a game. So this is a battle of the backups, I think, that potentially. I mean, Logan Thompson could come back, Montembeault come back. All in all, it's very interesting. And like you said, Stephen, I think the series has shifted. It was definitely the biggest win or biggest spread between games, a 6-3 victory. The Canadiens got 6 goals. I think the fans definitely helped. And all in all, we're excited to see the next game.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you talk a bit more, see if we got the video a bit better. If not, hopefully it'll kind of catch up as we talk.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll catch up. Whether I'm delayed or not, I'm not sure what it is. Listen, I didn't talk about the goalie, and I know you mentioned Montembeault getting hurt and Dobie's coming in, and I thought he played good. He had a little moxie behind the net. Wasn't nervous. Went behind the net. He fed the puck out of the zone. And kept the Canadiens in the game when it was 3-3. So, and led the team to a victory. I think Logan Thompson getting hurt is a huge, and I don't think he's coming back. I don't know what he did, but based on the replay, it looked like probably either a torn groin or some kind of tear
On the leg, yeah.
Pardon me?
On the leg.
Yeah, something in the lower leg. But Charlie Lindgren is a good goalie, but he's nowhere close to the way Thompson was playing. Thompson kept the Capitals in the series, the first 2 games, and this is actually a good break for the Canadiens, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add? Or?
Yeah, I mean, no, because I think Thompson was injured for last 20 games of the season or something along those lines, 15 games. And the Capitals definitely struggled a lot more. He was a pretty important player. I think he was pretty good. And then even after, or later in the season, he wasn't playing as well, and then he got injured. And then Lindgren, they're very similar goalies, but I think Lindgren's just kind of like a worse version of him. So they play very similarly. Yeah. And then, obviously, but it's two-sided, right? Because we also have Monty's out, so we have Dobish, who I think is good. He's a good player, and he's a gamer. He plays well in big games. Hopefully that kind of continues, and I think it will. Not too obviously it sucks Monty getting out. I think maybe his injury isn't as serious as Thompson. There's a chance he comes back if there's a couple more games. Especially if the series gets later, if the Canadiens could win the series sometime in the next round. So I don't think it was too bad, but yeah, I think we're lucky that we have a goalie that's at least, I think somebody that we could think could do well. Confident, you have confidence in him. So, right. And I think the team has confidence in him too. So I don't think it should affect how they play. So yeah.
I wanted to bring up, I was thinking about this. Ovechkin has really had our number. He scored 2 goals today?
Just one, but still
one. Yeah, but he was. I think he was involved in the first goal.
Right.
And I think the Capitals clearly are not an offensive powerhouse. I think Ovechkin is probably, in my opinion, right, especially what he adds, probably 50-60% of their offense. I don't know if they're doing it, but I would really put somebody trailing him, on him, not letting him shoot the rest of the series. I think we just need to take him out. Not hit him, but just basically just have somebody completely trail him and take him out of the game, make him uncomfortable. So I think he's getting a little bit too much ice and freedom out there. He had he scored that goal. After the goal, he had a couple of good chances. And he almost made us pay. So I don't know what your thoughts are, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard. It's always hard because you have a system, right? And to kind of change that system for one player, it's difficult. Although their system is man-on-man with a bit of a hybrid. So if you can find a way to get a guy that can kind of stay on him, the challenge is really that he's a winger. And when you're covering a winger, you have to usually use a winger or a defenseman to kind of cover them because the centerman it's a little bit more challenging. So you don't want to, if you lose a center to a player like that he's a great shooter and he does get open, but he's not a playmaker that with huge speed that takes over the game and controls the play. So I don't disagree with the strategy, Steve, but I think end of the day, I don't think they should do anything different. I think they won the game 6-3. I think they brought that type of momentum that they have. I think there's, obviously they should have their eyes on him and match lines and find guys that can cover him. but he's Alex Ovechkin. He's going to get a couple of opportunities, and he doesn't usually miss. That was a huge open opportunity. That was definitely a miss. It was a 3-on-2. You can't cheat totally on one side on a 3-on-2 like that. It was kind of a weird play, but end of the day, I don't disagree. I just don't know how you do it. I do want to call out, I mean, again, I thought Caufield is a small player. He's playing in the playoffs. We remember him from 21. He was an amazing player when he first came out. He's not supposed to do what he's doing. He's playing playoff hockey as a small, undersized player. 11 shots tonight. He set a Montreal Canadiens record.
Maybe the cross check that he took in the face.
No, I mean,
at the end, kind of like
it didn't help. It didn't help his momentum. No, yeah. I mean, I know I'm not trying to cut you off, but like it didn't hurt. But he's been playing great. I mean, every game he's been playing great. Yeah,
I think he took it to another level. I've never seen him so animated about getting hit the whole season. Actually, his entire career. Yeah. And I think that he just, listen, it's called poking the bear. And you poked him, and now maybe this is what he needed to actually light him up a little bit. So he was great, and now he's even greater.
You're not wrong, but I'll give you another example. Another player that I want to call out, and you're going to have a big smile on your face, is Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson played an amazing game. That whole line did, right? So Josh Anderson, Dvorak, and Gallagher had a great hockey game. And Josh Anderson, kudos to him. He's been great all season. He's been great all playoffs. We know, we've talked about it. He's a playoff performer. He's doing his job. It's great that he's on the team. That being said, he stepped up another level tonight. And the reason I believe he stepped up another level tonight was because he wasn't alone. Arbor Xhekaj was on the ice. And I'm telling you, he knows that he has a guy that's covering his back. And so it brings every player. And the reason I brought that up now is because Cole Caufield got hit by Alex Ovechkin and got a cross-check by Dowd. You didn't see Dowd hitting like he did the other nights. It's because he knows that if he's going to do something stupid, Dowd is not a big guy. He's going to get destroyed by our players. And now you have two of them. There's two guys. There's a guy named Anderson who's playing amazing, and you have a guy like Xhekaj. And by the way, all the other players were playing big. Heineman had 5 hits. Evans had 4 hits.
Slafkovsky also.
He had 6 hits.
Right.
Gallagher had 6 hits. All these guys are hitting 46 hits. That's ridiculous. Like, the Canadiens were hitting, and it's the reason they were doing that was because the entire team was motivated. If you watch the game, the pregame, there was a whole shot about Xhekaj kind of talking up the other team, and he was showing that, hey, you know what, you're not going to push us around anymore. And everyone on the team fell behind that. Again, right. He made a mistake on a goal. He's not perfect. I'm not saying he should play 20 minutes a game. I'm saying he brings a level of momentum. And Anderson was outstanding tonight, and I think it helped too.
Listen, I was listening to a lot of analysts. I really do believe it's a mistake to sit Struble. I think Struble has been one of our best defensemen.
Yep.
I think I don't like the move. I would prefer that they go with 11. I'm not saying to sit Xhekaj. I think Xhekaj needs to play 4 or 5 minutes a game. He's such a liability on the ice. I don't mind giving him a couple of shifts in the beginning of the game. And then obviously, if the game starts turning a little bit rough, then you put him on and then, he's there. His mistakes, that exact mistake that he made that cost us that goal, I think it's the tying second goal. Was it the second goal?
Yeah.
That mistake is just echoed. He did this the entire season. That's why he got benched, for that exact reason. He gives up. He's just clumsy in getting the puck out of the zone. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the next shift, Matheson did the exact same thing. They just didn't score.
But you can't listen. I know you're a little rough on Matheson. Matheson was one of the best players on the ice for the Canadiens. Again, does he have his moments? Hang on, let me finish. Does he have his moments where he's clumsy and he frustrates all of us, where, he thinks he's like Wayne Gretzky and he's, fumbling with the puck and then he, causes a turnover? Yes. But he's also logging 20-plus minutes a game. Clearly the top 4 defensemen on the Canadiens. And the Canadiens would not be where they are this season without Matheson. So could they even be better if Matheson didn't think he was the number 1 defenseman and better than Lane Hutson? Absolutely. He's not Lane Hutson. He thinks he is, right? But he's not. And like you said, Rick, I completely agree. I think he's starting to realize he's the number 3 or 4 option on this team. Clearly you have Lane Hutson, you have Gooley, and maybe Matheson is number 3, right? I argue that
You don't like Carrier out there?
Carrier, right. So
Okay.
so Carrier is number 3 and he's number 4. He's number 4 option on the team.
All right.
So and it shows.
But Strubal's pretty good when he plays in the top.
Strubal's pretty good, but where's Strubel now? He's not even playing, right?
Yeah,
so the Canadiens, right?
Yeah, listen, it is what it is.
See, I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea, but I think playing like 11-on-7 and maybe taking out Kapanen or something could be interesting and just
Yeah, I mean, I think the team is going to keep
that guy a little bit.
I agree, 100%.
It helps a lot for like Savard and stuff, who's good on like the penalty kill, but you don't want to play him all the time. So it's good to have more defensemen, I think, and I think. We already don't have a lot of center depth anyway, so I don't think it really changes that much. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think...
Yeah, it was an option we talked about. I think, to your point, they're not going to touch the lineup. They don't touch a winning lineup. They're not going to touch it, other than put Primo as a backup behind Jacob Dobish. At the end of the day, you're not wrong. If the Canadiens lose another game or somebody gets hurt or whatever it is, I think that's the right move, is to have an 11-7 play and just rotate that second, the line of Armia and Heineman with a different center along the way, right? So you can kind of have your 8 wingers and 3 centers and kind of make that work. It's hard to play a whole playoff series like that because your centers will get tired, and your centers are also penalty killers, except for Suzuki, but Suzuki plays the whole power play. So it's going to be interesting how that goes. And let's talk about the power play. The power play is the power play that I thought they should do. And I know that Laine was injured, and I'm putting that in air quotes because I don't know how injured he was. But at the end of the day, when I saw Demidov playing, and my thought right from the beginning, you need Slafkovsky as a net front presence, and putting Demidov on the right side and Caufield back to his old home on the line A spot, and having that lineup. I just think the power play is just so much better. And what is it? An average age of 21 or 22 if you add it up? It's 22. Like, so that power play could be the power play for the next 10 years, which is not like crazy. But I think all in all, we did not miss Laine at all. I think he's a deficiency on the 5-on-5. And his power play takes Cole Caufield out of his play, and then you don't have the passing that you have when you have a Demidov. And Demidov is still young. He's 19. He didn't look great out there. He did some good things. He's going to be good. He's figuring it out. He's playing his first games. I've watched a lot of rookies this year. Even Hudson, his first 5 or 6 games, some things were going fast. He's playing in a playoff series. His first 3 games of his career. So.
Yeah, I mean, he played really, like his regular season games, he looked really, really good. And then now he's playing against like the number 1 seed in the East. So, it's not super easy, and he's getting better every single game. I think, as he gets, I think Laine was hurt, and, he's a player who I think needs to, have like his abilities fully there to be useful. I think his shot was off, and they said it was an upper body injury, so maybe they're saying it's something to do with his wrist or his shot or something along those lines. Right. Not just his like legs or whatever, because I mean that's already a known injury, and he still has it, right? He never had surgery for his knee, so that's not something they would even declare. But I think, I mean, obviously the power play was a lot better just because it's more balanced. Because like instead of having one side with a shooter and then you have Caufield, who's a good playmaker, but I feel like having him on the left and kind of allowing him to move and potentially shoot there, but then have a playmaker on the other side where they could kind of like be a lot more fluid and moving up and down instead of just going like left and then shot.
There's a lot more movement. There's a lot more.
It makes it a lot more dynamic, and they ended up scoring 2 power play goals, I think, right?
Yeah.
2 of their goals were power plays. One of them wasn't really
that line.
The first line, but I mean the first line
controlled it.
They did do. I mean they had a really good power play though. They had like a lot of shots, right? So I mean it was working. They just weren't finishing. But
go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, like the Capitals, when Lainie's in the lineup, and obviously their power play revolves around getting him the puck so he can do this one-time shot from the hash mark, right? It's very similar to the Capitals, right? With Ovechkin sitting in the same exact spot. And if you watch them move the puck around, they're trying to get the puck to Ovechkin so he can do the exact same thing, right? So I actually agree. I like that Laine and, subtraction by addition or addition by subtraction, whatever you want to call it. Not having him on the ice and giving Demidov, who I thought actually, in my opinion, had a really good game. He was invisible last game. He did not have a good game, game 2. But game 3, he was back to himself because he got a little ice time, a little opportunity to move the puck, and it gave him a little bit more confidence. I thought he made some very crisp passes. I thought he was very good. I thought he was effective. He almost scored a couple of goals. He hit. I saw him. He laid out Rick like 2 or 3 hits. If you look on the stat line.
So he's pretty physical.
Yeah. So I think he's getting it.
Yeah.
and he brings more energy than what Laney brought, because Laney looked like he was just, I mean, it was his body language. I'm going to talk, a little bit about, you just watch him play. He looked disinterested. It's a playoff hockey game. I mean, look what Josh Anderson's doing. He's like literally laying his body out on the ice for his teammates, and Laney's just like coasting. It's just not right, and it's not fair. And even if he was injured or wasn't, he doesn't deserve to be in the lineup. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll disagree slightly, and I think I disagree with you remotely, is I thought Demidov in the third period of the second game, when they kind of shortened the bench and put him on a line with Newhook and Evans, and they kind of just had 9 forwards going, he wasn't invisible. I wouldn't say he played great, but you could see that he started carrying the puck a bit more, made a few more plays, and so by the third period of the second game, I think he was getting his legs under him, figuring out the speed. I think the first game was overwhelmingly fast for him, and he didn't play a lot because of it. I think in the third period of the second game, he played okay. And again, today, I still think he has another level. He's really good, but I've watched this kid for 25 games in the KHL, and we saw him in game 1, and I know that's a game against the Chicago Blackhawks, but he has talent, and he has a superb talent. But if you look at Hudson, who I love, he hasn't really been doing the Hudson stuff for the first couple of games. A little bit, but not like he can. He obviously made an incredible pass today to Caufield when he scored his goal, and he did some other things. But it's a different level of hockey. So, you just need to figure it out. And I'm really excited to figure it out. Yeah.
I mean, it's very physical. You could watch when he tries to do his little moves. They'll do things that you aren't allowed to do in the regular season. They'll grab him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
There'll
be penalties.
They'll do something like that. So he's overcome it. I mean, he already has he has 3 points. He's doing good, and he's a key contributor. He's making really important plays. So I think he's been as good as you could hope. He's also pretty good defensively, and he's avoiding getting injured. So that's a positive, right?
He hasn't been bad defensively. So yeah, go ahead.
I love watching Lane Hudson adapt. He's done it the whole season. I think when he came into game 1, and they started hitting him, I think it was something he had never seen. That getting the intensity of getting hit like that, literally every time the puck went in the corner and deep in his head, he knew he was going to get smacked. And I noticed today something a little bit different. He came in and his game adjusted. He knew that there was a player that was going to come in and try to crush him. And he literally made such a nice move to avoid the check and get the puck out of the zone so swiftly. He didn't do that in game 1 and game 2 as efficiently. And he's just that's how good this guy is. Those little things of just getting the puck out of the zone is just incredible. And he's small and he's not as big, and he can't take the hits that a Jack Eye or a Gruy can take. And he's just so smooth in how he's able to maneuver his body. So he's able to kind of chip the puck out, in an efficient way and get it out. And I thought he did a great job tonight. In doing that.
I agree, and I think I was listening to Pierre Maguire after the game on another show, and he said the same thing. It's these kids, right? They're kids, and this is an amazing experience. I mean, obviously we want them to win the series. Obviously we want them to play multiple series. But what they're doing is if you look at every game 1, game 2, game 3, they've progressed. They've learned something. Every one of them. We just mentioned Demidov, right? The first game he was not even there. The second game he didn't do very much, but by the third period he did. Today he's starting to do more. I promise you, game 4 he's going to be another level. Hudson's going to be another level. By the way, Slafkovsky's improved every game too. These are 21-year-old guys or 19, and they're going to be the future of the team. And they're getting these amazing experiences because they're going to learn how to play hockey at this level. Obviously, it won't be this kind of energy in October, November next year. They'll be able to come in a different level and get the confidence they need. And this is just amazing for the Canadiens' progression for the years to come, which is awesome. Now, the most important thing is Sunday, right? The next game. And I think that's a huge game. 3-1 and 2-2 are huge, big differences. The Montreal Canadiens are playing on at 6:30 p.m. in the Bell Center again. The fans were crazy. The fans will be crazy again. I live in Southern California. I think I heard the Bell Center from here. A little bit of, it might have been an earthquake. No, it's probably just the Bell Center kind of thing. Anyway, long story short, we're looking forward to that game. Obviously, doubt that Thompson will play, doubt that Montembeault will play. Any thoughts, anything you have to do differently? Any changes that you think they should do lineup wise? You mentioned the Ovechkin thing. Anything else or?
Yeah, two things. I definitely want to see them. Listen, you don't need to have somebody on Ovechkin at center ice. Let him cross. As soon as he crosses the blue line and he's inside our zone, that's where you need somebody to just follow him. Once he's out of the zone, he's slow. He's old already. But listen, the guy's got hands. He's got a great shot. So that's one. Number two, I want them to go to the 11 forwards. Hopefully they look at the tape. We still gave up 3 goals, even though we outshot them. And so I'd like them to consider, right, bringing Struble back and sitting, like what Cole said, Kapanen, because I don't think we need Kapanen. I don't think it's necessary. I think we need to shorten the bench for the game. The Capitals are going to come out like a rocket next game because they got punched in the mouth today. So we need to keep our intensity up. So the next game, if we make it 2-2, I really feel confident that we can take this series. So the next game is just so important. But like I said, game 3 is always the pivotal game in the playoffs. So you win game 3, 80% of the time, the team that wins game 3 wins the series. So yeah, so I'm going to predict it's going to be a very close game. I think that it's going to be low scoring. I predict the score is going to go into overtime, and I think the Canadiens win 3-2 in overtime. That's going to be my prediction.
All right, Steven, what about you, Cole? Any thoughts on the game? Anything that has to change? Anything? Do you agree with those statements from Steve? Any differences?
I mean, yeah, I get the point. I think again, you're gonna have to like build on the intensity. I agree with you guys about like Jack Eye and how he kind of made them, because the game was a lot different. We had a lot more hits than the other team this time around. Washington Capitals played a lot scared. A couple of the lines, their fourth line was killing us with Dowd and those guys who were like cross-checking people in the face, right? So they played scared. Supposedly they played scared this game, but I also think like again it's also the sort of playing at home and things like that in the Bell Center probably like amped them up. So I don't think it's fully like a single causal like factor. I don't think it's the only reason why that happened. Like I think there's
of course.
I think it's a little overstated.
A lot of variables. Like
I think again they're gonna have to continue that though. They have to play if they play the same way. I'm a lot happier with how they play, and I'm happy that they're advancing. I'm happy that they're realizing that you want to play this physical style game in the playoffs, and even not only like playing a physical style, but dealing with that kind of physical style of play, right? Like they've done that. I thought they did that the first 2 games. They just weren't giving it back, right? They were kind of like responding really well to it, not backing down and playing like not giving up. But this game they responded to it, right? And they kind of led that sort of physicality. And I think that's super important in the playoffs. And it's especially important for like the players that are important to us, like all the young players who we think are offensive and skilled, people like Suzuki, Caufield, and like Hudson, right? Those guys who you might worry a little bit about like physicality in a sense, like they kind of stepped up and they basically like danced around them. My predictions, I think it's going to be similar. I think the Canadiens are going to win. I'm hoping maybe it's not as close, like something like 4-1 or something along those lines. I think with the empty net goal. That's my prediction.
There you go.
Yeah, and do you have?
Yeah. Well,
I want to ask the question after because I think it's something we kind of miss because I think. Whatever, you go ahead first.
No, I'll just go into so my take is that the Montreal Canadiens just won the game 6-3. Don't change a thing. Put the same lineup out. Don't change it yet. Obviously, if they lose a game or if something happens, you pull. I agree with the pulling Kapanen and put a 11-7. But I think you go with the same lineup. You don't change something that's not broken, and you go out and you take the game similarly. You take the game with physicality. You have guys like Anderson and Jack Ibe doing their thing and pushing the rest of the other team. I think the Canadiens are learning. And the guys like you mentioned, Caufield, he stepped up, and I think he's going to bring that level of intensity again. I actually don't think Suzuki, he scored a nice goal, but I don't think Suzuki, he had a great first game, but I don't think he's been as good as he could be still. He has another level. And then I think, like I said, Hudson and Demidov are learning, and they're going to play better hockey. So I'm optimistic. I think the game's going to be 4-2 Montreal. With an empty netter. I think the Canadiens are going to win this game. I think that this is a huge game for them. They've been really good when when their backs are up against the wall, and you can't fall behind 3-1 and go to Washington and win the series. So they know this is a must-win game. They have the fans behind them, and all in all, I think they're going to take it. So that's my prediction, and I think they should stay the same. I don't disagree that you have to keep your eye on Ovechkin, and I think they are. He's just so elusive, and it's kind of like Caufield. They're just these elite elite goal scorers find ways to get open, and it's almost impossible unless you have a guy completely dedicated to him all the time, and then that's a difficult thing to do because it changes your system. So, I don't disagree with you need to keep your eye on him, but it's hard to do in the NHL in the systems that they have and the way the game is played, especially the fact that he's not the guy that carries the puck. So it ends up being a 4-on-4 a hockey game, and it could be challenging because they have some good forwards. I know they're not great, but Strome and Beauvillier, and by the way, Protest will be back probably. So there's going to be some interesting hockey game players coming back to the game, and we'll see what happens. So, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but I was wondering if you guys have any sort of players that you think aren't playing as well and you think should have improvements in their game and things like that. Players that you think are I think struggling a little bit, because I think more so than you would expect, or not to their level, not necessarily players that you don't really think are that great, but players that are underperforming. I mean, the only one that comes to mind, and I'm not saying he's underperforming, I'm saying the only surprise that I've noticed is Caden Gooley. And I'll say it this way. Caden Gooley's been playing very well defensively, but he isn't hitting the way I expected him to hit. During the regular season, he was taking people out, and I'm finding he's getting beat up a lot in this series. He's not taking it to them physically. If you watch the game, he's not one of, I actually thought Matheson was more physical than Gooley this game. He's just not doing what he was doing in the regular season. That being said, he's playing awesome defensively. Carrier also, again, he's smaller, and it's more noticeable in the playoffs. I think he's very good. He does all the things, but he's getting beat up a lot more than he was in the regular season. So he's losing some more battles, but not doing things wrong. He's just he's getting outweighed, right? And so those two defenders are surprising me in a negative way, but no fault. They're not making mistakes. They're playing well defensively. They're getting the puck out. They're just not being, I think the physical toll on those guys are surprising me. More so Gooley, that he's just not being that physical presence that I was hoping he'd be more like a Shea Weber, and he looks more like a guy that's getting beat up a little bit on the boards. But he's good. He's just not taking it to me. That's my take.
I completely disagree with you. I think Caden Gooley has been phenomenal this series. I think maybe he was a little bit overboard in game one. Was it him that took that penalty in game one? Yeah, right. But the player that I think really needs to step in, probably, I understand why he's in the lineup, but he's really frustrating me, is David Savard. So David Savard, his feet are like in quicksand. The goal that he gave up in game two, where he was behind the net, I'm not sure what he was kind of trying to do. I don't mind that the first chance was given up, but I was counting literally 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, where the guy shot the puck and then got his own rebound and then had the time and the presence to shoot it, and it went off of his pad because by that time he was still trying to get in front of that defenseman. In front of that player that scored. And today he had a bad play as well. I think he was on for 1 or 2 goals, and he doesn't even get a lot of ice time. So for me, it's an obvious take him out of the game if we're going to go with 6 defensemen and go with Struble. Struble's younger. I don't mind taking the chance. Struble has played phenomenal hockey. I don't think he deserved to sit. So for me, the underperforming player, and it continues to be David Savard. So
I don't disagree with you other than for that, but like you said, there's 2 variables, right? He's a leader. He's really good on the penalty kill. He's an important factor on the penalty kill. And if you take him out, then you have Carey or Gooley stepping in, and they have to play 2 minutes along with Matheson. It's always difficult and then the other variable, we all know it's his last playoffs, and I think the leadership aspect of it, keeping him out there and getting him his opportunities. I don't think I'd pull him unless I had to. I just don't see a problem with winning a game 6-3, and I think the lineup the way it is pretty solid. That's what I think. Again, playing him less, playing him on penalty kills. We talked about this in the playoffs. and when the Canadiens went to in 21 to the finals, the bottom pair were playing 5-6 minutes a game by the second half of the playoff series, right? So guys like Matheson and Carrier and Gouley and Hudson should be playing 20 to 25 minutes each, and those guys should be on the ice for 5 or 10, and the 10 are if they're getting penalties, killing penalties, and that's where he's not bad, because he just has a knack of blocking shots, and he has a knack of lying on the ice in the right time and blocking the cross passes, and he does a decent amount job on that. But he's slow like molasses, and he's going to retire, and he needs to retire because I think he's not.
The slowness is just ridiculous sometimes. I'll just give one more kudos to a player we didn't talk about. You mentioned for a minute, but let's give him a call out today. And in my opinion, he's been the best defenseman next to Hudson, has been Carrier. He was just absolutely flying tonight. His breakout, he's brought a different dimension to the team. He's making Matheson look better because he's playing, he's really stepped up to be that number 2 defenseman on the team, or number 3 defenseman on the team. So I just want to give a call out to Carrier. He needs to, he's played great, and I'm looking forward to the next game. So
anyone that we missed?
Maybe
Matheson?
Well, no, I think he's been good. I was going to say for kind of who I think needs to play a little bit better. And again, I'm not going to say he's bad, and I already mentioned it, but Suzuki, I feel like is playing good. Obviously, he's a very consistent, good player, but he hasn't kind of had a game where he's kind of taken over yet, which he had a couple, especially, at the end of
the regular season.
He was doing that a lot. I mean, maybe he's a little bit tired from carrying the team to the playoffs a little bit, but I think he still hasn't had that kind of level of physicality that I think he could have, and also that kind of game. Obviously, he's still producing because he's a really good player and he's opportunistic and stuff. So I'm not saying he's bad or anything.
He hasn't played elite
level he was.
Yeah, he hasn't played his elite level that he was playing at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But
how many shots did he have tonight?
Yeah, I'll take a look. I mean, he had a decent amount. In fact, the line of Slafkovsky, Caufield, and Suzuki had half the shots for the Montreal Canadiens.
20 shots? Wow.
Suzuki had 3, yes. Slafkovsky had 5, and Caufield had 11. So the line had 19 of the 41 shots. So
but I think, honestly, Caufield and Suzuki played a bit better than Suzuki in my... Caufield and Slafkovsky, played a little bit
better than
obviously
to their level.
Yeah.
Even listen, we're not going to
focus. And then also the other one is similarly to their level would be Matheson, who I think the last 2 games... I think the last game was Matheson's best game of the entire year, in my opinion. I thought he played really, really well. And I think he kept that confidence, which I'm happy about. I think, Matheson, I don't think I'm kind of similar to my dad. I don't love Matheson. I think he's not the smartest hockey player, and he makes a lot of interesting mistakes. But he hasn't really made them recently. I feel like he has mistakes, and he's made up for it. He's the type of player where, when I watched him in person, when I went to the Canucks game and I was watching him in person, he loses the puck. The puck goes over his head and he looks forward. He looks like he doesn't know where it is at all, and he has to be screamed at and then point at to where it is. It seems like his puck location software has been updated or something. They removed all the bugs for it, so now it's working properly. Where now he's he's on top of the puck. Obviously, I think he still isn't the best physically, he's not a defenseman who's going to make, big plays to actually, get, him off the puck, players off the puck. When they forecheck, he usually gets bumped off all the time. So it's a little bit frustrating at times, but I feel he's one of the, what you said earlier about how, he plays 20 minutes a night, right? He's getting those minutes. He's one of the most important, or 20, 25 minutes. He's one of the most important players, I think. When he has a good game, we almost win all the time, I think. That's just what I perceive. When he has a bad game, which was a lot because he was inconsistent, right? It was a lot harder to win. So I think he's a very essential player, even if he's not the best player on the team. He's the type of guy that it's surprising when he plays well and they lose. That's why last game I was surprised because it was one of the best games. I think just the rest of the team was a little bit just snake bit and they couldn't score and things like that. But if that continues, honestly, the Canadiens do have a really good shot of winning the series. If that happens next game, he plays the same way that he played today, or even the day before, I think they have a really good chance. And if he plays the rest of the series, he's a key player. I think he's honestly, because of his inconsistencies, is probably the most important player, right? In the fact that if he has a bad game, it oftentimes could really hurt the team. But if he has a good game, they could basically win every time.
He's been watching my show. That's kind of my message.
Cole, I can tell you're Rick's son. That's all I can say.
I mean,
I don't really watch it that much. I just have this.
no, I know. And the reason is obviously, like, that's the problem. And that's why I don't like him in his chair, because he shouldn't be playing that much, in my opinion. But he's playing that much, and he's playing well. And if he's playing well, we're going to win the games. To Cole's point, we were both unhappy that he played a great game and they lost. And that was disturbing, let's put it that way. And it doesn't happen a lot.
It happens, though, right? They got snake bitten in the third period. Jake Evans hit the post with an open net. I mean,
Oh, of course. But what I'm saying is, if you remember the season, there was probably 20 games where Matheson played as well as, or in this level of more defensive and not stupid plays and good games. And I would say 19 or 20 of those they won. And so, like, it's because when he's on the ice and not doing stupid things, they're not getting goals scored against them, and they're not putting pressure on the other guys. And so, from my perspective, he was still on for a couple of goals, or at least one, I remember today. But all in all,
was his fault.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault. He was a +1, so all good. Yeah, listen, I'm excited. We're in the playoffs. We're in the mix.
Yeah.
ole. Let's go.
Let's go Habs. All right, so we have our predictions. We all believe the Canadiens are going to win. The Canadiens are back home on Sunday night. Really excited.
Restarting, right? We're going to have a best-of-3 series after that, hopefully. And
that's going to be a huge game. I mean, the next game is huge for the Canadiens. 3-1's tough to come back from, especially if you're going back on the road.
As long as we get like a similar game to this, where it's a really good showing from the Habs, and as long as those Caps games are away are similar to like how we played in the first two games, where even though we didn't win, it was really close, right? It could have went either way, right? So as long as we play it to a similar level, and then get our points and things like that, and play that same type of level, I think they have a really good shot. So that's kind of obviously one game at a time. So if we could win the next one, I think there's a completely new series, and honestly, I think this was like a big momentum shift. So
yeah, agreed. Steven, any last thoughts?
No, go Habs, go. We're gonna bring it Sunday. So I'm pumped.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for being on the show, Steven. Thanks for coming, Cole. That's it for us. That's it for Next Shift. Suzuki does not suck. Talk to you guys soon.